welcome to Spotlight in Wawarsing. I'm your host Ava, and today's show features Mary Brimmer, EFNEP Nutrition Educator at the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, what is EFNEP, or Family Wellness Program?
So EFNEP stands for the Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program. It's a program offered through Cornell Cooperative Extension in Ulster County. However, there are EFNEP programs all across New York State as well. EFNEP is a nutrition education program, so it offers weekly nutrition education workshops. They typically are an hour long and they go from 8 to 10 weeks. If a family participates for at least 6 weeks, then they can graduate the program, receive a certificate, a cookbook, and a little goodie bag of some different kitchen tools. Sometimes with external funding, we're able to give away some larger items like an air fryer, so it can be a lot of fun.
Tell us about your role in the program.
Sure. So I am the EFNEP Nutrition Educator. What I do is I visit local agencies, community partners, and really do a lot of marketing out to the community as well to recruit families for the program. So the eligible families are anyone who is raising a child under 18, but they do need to be food insecure, so that would be SNAP or WIC eligible. So I do a lot of recruiting to different community partners that work with families or work with children. Also a lot of collaboration with school districts, libraries, community centers, etc. Beyond just parents who are raising children under 18, I also offer workshops to 18 to 25-year-olds who are financially independent. So that could be a college-age student who's looking to learn some skills in the kitchen, some budgeting skills as well. And I also work with youth groups too. So I do go into high schools, elementary schools, middle schools to provide series to groups of children.
What topics do participants learn about, and why is this program important?
Sure. So there's a variety of curriculum that is offered through the EFNEP program. Some of it focuses on the different My Plate food groups, as you can see here. Usually there's a little cup of dairy on the side here, so we have five different food groups. So one of the curriculums called Eating Smart, Being Active goes through each of those food groups and talks about strategies that families can take to increase their healthy intake of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, dairy products, protein. There's also a curriculum that specifically focuses more on budgeting and food resource management. So we talk about meal planning, we talk about ways to feed yourself as a parent, but also feed all your kiddos for a low cost. Food can be pretty pricey, so this program really, with all of the curriculum, can help your family to source food at a lower cost and really focus on your overall health and wellness. We also do a lot of physical activity in the program too, but they are all strategies that are completely free or low cost. Joining a gym or another fitness program can cost families a lot of money, so these are all little fun activities that don't take a ton of time, but can help you and your family be more active.
What does a class typically look like?
So it definitely depends on the curriculum, but we usually start with, the whole curriculum tends to follow, each lesson tends to follow the 4 A's. So anchor, add, apply, and away are the 4 A's that we follow. So we're anchoring it in something that someone knows and their experience around that food topic already. Then we're adding to it by giving them research-based, evidence-based information about that topic, and then from there we are applying it. So we're doing hands-on activities, we're doing different visual demonstrations, making food together, meal planning together, and really utilizing our skills based on that knowledge that we just learned. And then away is a time for us to come together and reflect on what we just learned to really solidify that knowledge. Every lesson also has a food demonstration or a food tasting. Some of the class formats might be able to offer a larger meal. So recently here we had a parent and child class that included a full dinner. But usually it's tastings that are offered in the program. And then we have that physical activity as well.
Well, today apparently we're going to have a short food demo, so Let's see what this is all about.
Let's get to it. Awesome. So today we are making a tomato and cucumber salad. The first thing that we want to do is we want to be mindful of food safety. So we want to put on our aprons if we have one and pull back our hair. No one likes hair in their food. We also would ideally wash our hands, but today we're going to be using some gloves so that our hands aren't all in the food. You also want to wash all of your produce beforehand. And then the next step would be to really read through your recipe. Some folks like to get ahead of things and think that they already know how to make it and jump right to the directions. But first we want to see how each of these food items are prepared. That way we can prepare them in order, make sure that we have all the ingredients in front of us and ready. So you always want to set your mise en place, and excuse me if I got that wrong, and make sure that you have everything that you need, including tools, including ingredients. That way you're not leaving the kitchen, touching other things, having to wash your hands again, and then coming back. So first we're going to read through the ingredients that we have. This actually makes 12 servings, so it makes quite a lot. So you could save some for later. If you're having a picnic or another kind of event, this would be a good recipe. Do you want to do the honors of reading the ingredients for us?
So today we're going to need 4 large tomatoes cubed, 1 large cucumber chopped, 1 cup of red onion chopped, 1 cup of green pepper chopped, and 1/3 cup parsley chopped as well.
We also have a dressing for this as well. So we can, in one bowl, make the dressing, and in the other bowl, have the ingredients. In looking ahead at our directions, we have a large bowl for the salad ingredients, a small bowl for the dressing. We end up mixing it together, and ideally you would leave this in the refrigerator for at least an hour before serving to really let those vegetables soak up the dressing. So together we can go ahead and start to work on preparing some of these vegetables. You would like to go ahead and peel the cucumber.
Sure.
And we can go ahead and dice it. So first thing, to make it easier for you, I can cut the ends off the cucumber. That gives us a starting place for the peeling. You could leave your skin on the cucumber if you'd like to, but really personal preference. When we have cutting boards as well, so there are all different types of cutting boards. There is wood, there's plastic, there's glass, but really what matters most is that it's stable and secure and that it doesn't have a lot of ridges in it, because that's where bacteria can get in. Another very important thing is a sharp knife. That is the number one thing for food safety. Is having a knife that is clean and suitable for what you're prepping. If you have a dull knife, you are more likely to get hurt.
So what are the benefits of participating in a program like this?
So really, we try to assess from the beginning the skills of the person coming into the program and what their interests are around food, and whether they are interested in learning about a specific topic. That way I can pick a certain curriculum for them, and then we can go from there. Some of the things that they might learn are about how to meal plan, to be mindful of how much time they spend in the kitchen, to learn how to make recipes that are quick and easy, like this one. Some other benefits would be learning how to source food in their area. So sometimes we talk about local resources that are potential places for families to get food. We talk about grocery shopping strategies as well. So there are a lot of psychological things happening when you're going to the grocery store that influence how much you're buying, how much you're spending, and how often you're buying it. So we can talk about ways to decrease the costs that you're spending, and some strategies for picking lower cost options. So things like purchasing store brand items, doing the unit price calculation to really compare the cost between things to save you money where you can. Talking about couponing and other rewards programs that might be available. So those are just some of the things, but really it's food resource management food preparation skills like we're doing here, physical activity, budgeting, etc.
Nice. How do families sign up for a program like this?
So typically they can sign up by emailing me. We do have a general email that goes to both myself and our SNAP Ed educator. That is ucnutrition@cornell.edu. They could also give our office a call at 845-340-3990, or they can visit our website. We often send out flyers to the community that have our contact information on it or a website link to sign up for the series at. But people can also find us in the community and sign up for our newsletter. That way they'll be in the know about upcoming workshops.
Okay. What impact has the program like this had on Ellenville?
So we recently actually just finished a parent and child workshop series here at Ellenville Senior High School. We had 10 families come and 17 youth. So every week we were making a different recipe. Usually families weren't aware of what recipe they were making that week, so it was always a surprise. We engaged in some physical activity together, learned about the different My Plate food groups, and families who attended at least 6 sessions were able to graduate and receive a special goodie bag and a special prize. And all of that was made possible by the Ellenville Regional Rural Health Network. We received some funding, and we also collaborated with the Ellenville Central School District to make that series happen. So a lot of this work involves some behind the scenes collaboration, communication, planning in order to bring nutrition education to families.
Any plans for growing in this community anytime soon?
Absolutely. So I'm always trying to reach families in the county entirely, and including the Ellenville community. So I accept people on an ongoing basis, and we can set up a workshop series that fits your schedule. So series are offered online, or they're offered in person. They can be one-on-one, or they can be in groups. So there's really a lot of flexibility to meet the interests of whoever is interested in the program.
How far does your program reach? Like, where are all the counties and everybody that's acceptable for this?
Sure. So I only work with residents of Ulster County, although I am aware that sometimes we have folks who come who are interested from other counties. Like I had mentioned before, there are EFNEP educators all across New York State. So someone could always reach out to me if they're in a different county, and I could connect them with an educator that offers workshops near them.
That's nice. Okay. Are there any resources you recommend for families looking to improve their diet or physical health?
Oh yes. So a couple of the main resources that we use are the myplate.gov website. There's something called My Plate Plan, where you can enter for yourself your age, your gender, your physical activity level, your height, and your weight, and you'll get a plan for you of how many calories to eat, as well as how many servings of each food group to have in your diet. This plan also gives you suggestions of what a serving of that food might look like, so you can slowly start to make changes and set goals for yourself. Another website that I often refer to is our EFNEP.cornell.edu website. This is where we have our database of recipes, and there are tons and tons of recipes on there, and you can categorize them based on how much time you have, what you're interested in making. So if you're interested in just making a snack, you can type in snack, all the snack foods will come up.
And you said that your classes also do physical activity. What type of physical activity is usually happening after classes?
Sure, so that also depends on the curriculum. With some of them are, in school districts, I often do a lot of stretching exercises that have subtle movements because we don't always have a lot of space. So we want to make use of the space that we have and still be active. So that can include some different unique games. So one game that we have is a balloon toss. So children are encouraged to blow up some balloons, and parents are able to grab some kitchen utensils, and in an open area, they can just toss around the balloons. You know, subtle ways to move more is really the key here.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about or anything?
Let me see. There are certainly a lot of resources in the county, and apart from nutrition education, really act as a liaison to help families become more aware of what's around them in the county. So they're always welcome to reach out to myself or anyone else at Cornell to learn more about the food resources that they might be eligible for. Because if someone isn't specifically eligible for EFNEP, they could benefit from other services at Cornell or in the area as well.
So, how long have you been working at EFNEP?
So I've been in this role for about a year now. I thought this role would be a great fit because I really care about food access and helping families to support their nutritional needs. This has been kind of a foundation for me to learn about the Hudson Valley and everything that's here.
That's nice. Yeah. What education is required for these type of roles?
So typically someone would come to this position with at least a little bit of a background in nutrition, but there is a lot of training that happens for EFNEP educators. So I think at least an associate's degree is typically required, but the requirements change depending on the county.
How many educators are there per county?
Usually just one or two. I know in the New York City area there tends to be more educators just because there's more people in the community to serve.
Is there anything besides classes and everything else that you guys offer?
Yes, so at Cornell Cooperative Extension, I'm on the Healthy Communities team. And on our team, we also have a SNAP Ed educator who does nutrition education. She offers 1 to 6 time series for anyone aged 9 to 99 who is SNAP eligible. And we also have a Relatives as Parents program that offers support, events, programming to families who are raising their relatives. So oftentimes grandparents raising their grandchildren, and other family members as well. So family looks very different for everyone. We have a farm to school program. We also have a healthy cooking class educator, so she does some awesome Zoom cooking classes. She's written a couple cookbooks, so she's a great resource for nutrition education as well.
All right, and let's get an update on what we're doing over here. So now we're cutting up the green pepper?
Yes, so we want to prepare all of our vegetable items first. And make sure that they're all ready. If you like veggies, there is no harm in adding more as well.
Is there any recommendations you have for the use of food scraps and other food?
Ooh, so my go-to would be composting, but it also depends on the food. So there are a lot of different things that you can do with different food items. You can even dye fabric using some different food items. I know that you can use avocado seeds to do that. I read something recently about taking the tops of strawberries and making a strawberry vinaigrette out of them.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. Really one of the best things is to think about how you can use that another way. So if you don't end up using everything that the recipe calls for, you could integrate it into a different recipe. That way you're not wasting it, or you could give it to a friend.
So what are some safety rules that you apply to these families when they're around sharp utensils like this, especially with small children?
Sure, so absolutely being aware of where you have these sorts of tools located, anything that's sharp. This knife happens to come with a cover that you can put over the knife for easy transport. If you are carrying a knife, always holding it down at your side, and if you're going to pass it to someone, doing it like that, or with your hands with it pointed downwards. That way if it falls, it doesn't hurt anybody. Also, when we are cutting something, there's two different techniques that we typically use, the crab or the claw. So depending on what you're cutting, you might take a different position with your hands to hold things steady onto the table. Also, not sawing back and forth when you are cutting, but just making like very kind of quick movements. We're also always tempted to be very quick with cutting because we see all these awesome cooking shows, but really take your time with it. There's no need, and cooking can be quite a mindful process and an enjoyable process and very experiential. So I think that slowing down can really benefit you and also benefit your safety. Okay, that is looking like about 1 cup of green pepper. We're getting there. It smells good.
It definitely does.
I wish you could smell it. We also have this general concept called clean as you go. So if you had a kitchen space, we are not in a kitchen space. If you had a kitchen space, then you can start to clean things as you go. Maybe you have a separate area where you're putting food scraps. Because this is all vegetables, it's okay that things are on the same cutting board, but if you were making a recipe that had meat or seafood, raw foods, then you would have 2 different cutting boards, or you would be cleaning the cutting board in between, because you don't want to cross-contaminate with your fruits and vegetables and your raw foods.
Is there any other safety concerns to be mindful of when you're in the kitchen?
Yes. People tend to let their pets wander into their kitchen. Just being aware that when you have a pet in the kitchen, you might be tempted to pet them. So washing your hands afterwards and making sure that their bacteria, their fur, does not get in your food. So trying to keep them out of the kitchen is ideal. We also talk about food safety in relation to bacteria growth, so always keeping things clean. There are 4 different food safety principles: keeping things clean, separate, cooking, and chilling. So when we're separating, we're keeping that meat and that raw vegetables separated, but also when you're going to the grocery store, keeping your meat in a separate bag from the rest of your food, because things might leak out. Being mindful of how much you're putting in your refrigerator or your freezer, because if you put too much in there, it could affect the airflow, and things need to be kept at a certain temperature to refrigerate or chill them properly. A lot of foods also need to be cooked to a certain temperature in order to kill off the bacteria. Let's see, we need 1/3 cup of parsley. I'm someone who feels like you can never go wrong with too many herbs, but
This recipe calls for just a specific number today.
yeah. Okay, so there we have all of our raw vegetables and herbs. And now we need to go ahead and prepare our dressing. This one I'm going to solicit your help for.
Okay.
So let me clear the space so it's safe for you. Alright, so our dressing calls for 1/3 cup of apple cider vinegar.
Alright, what do we have right over here? Are we going to pour it just straight over?
Let's see. Take this out. It does make quite an ample amount.
Alright, we have 1/3 cup apple cider vinegar.
Oh, these are actually dry measuring cups, so we want to use the liquid measuring cup.
Okay. is that another thing to be worry about when it comes to safety concerns?
It would just affect your recipe ratio if you use the dry measuring cups over the liquid ones, because they're not the exact equivalent amount. So if you have something that calls for 1 cup of sugar, you might be adding more or less sugar if you're using a liquid measuring cup instead of a dry one.
It's about 1/4 a cup now.
There we go.
So
See, there is a difference, right?
there is a big difference actually. I think some parsley went in there, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, that's fine. I mean,
Next, we need 1 tablespoon of olive oil.
these are dry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one, there is no tablespoon.
Well, with tablespoons, actually, we can use them for
Liquids in
liquid.
here?
Yeah. It's usually just these ones that you want to make sure. There we go. This calls for 2 cloves of garlic, but I just have some garlic powder, so we'll just use a little bit of garlic powder because it tends to be more concentrated. So if we want to use like a teaspoon, you can always add more seasonings like garlic powder if you want the garlic flavor to be more flavorful. There we go. You can smell the garlic. We also have half a teaspoon of salt. TBSP stands for tablespoon and TSP stands for teaspoons. So that is one common thing that we tend to mix up and can really affect your recipe.
Half a teaspoon of black pepper.
Okay, and half a teaspoon of sugar. Since we're not using a lot of sugar, I brought along some sugar packets. So this tends to be 1 teaspoon in 1 sugar packet. Oh, it's actually a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
There's still more.
Oh, there's still more? Okay. Yeah, so a full packet is 1 teaspoon. One of the things that we also talk about in the program is how to reduce salt, sugar, and fat content. And making things at home is one simple way that you can do that versus buying things at the store that are prepared and already tend to have those things packed into them. So you get to control how much salt you put in, how much oil you put in. So now we'll want to go ahead and mix up our dressing. Pour it right on over our beautiful bowl of vegetables. And then we can give it a big old mix. The recipe does say to let it sit in the refrigerator for an hour, but if you are hungry, you can go ahead and eat it already. But it will soak up the flavors a lot sooner or a lot better if you let it sit for a little bit.
We actually have an on-set food critic today. Juan, will you do the honors? All right, Juan.
All right, tell us what you think.
You gotta get that buddy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How? Let us know.
Okay, it's just good.
What do you like about it? What do you like about it?
Everything.
It's green.
Anything?
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm working with different participants, especially youth participants, I have them walk through their food experience like a mindful moment. So first, normally they would hold the food in their hand, see how it feels, although they're doing that with the cooking. They'd give it a smell and really think about what it smells like.
I'm sorry, I just said it. Sorry.
You can give it a quick taste to really describe and think of what flavors that you're having. Sometimes, depending on the food, you can hold it up to your ear and listen to the sound that the food makes as well. So this is a way of being more mindful of how much we're eating and what we're eating, and really starting to eat more mindfully too. Thank you for giving us a taste test.
How many kilos I can eat it?
You can eat it.
Um,
Is there anything else you wanted to tell the viewers today?
I would just say if you are interested in cooking in general, please reach out. Whether you are from this eligible population or not, there are a lot of resources in the community and in the county that we could connect you to. We have a lot to offer at Cornell Cooperative Extension, Ulster County as well. But if you are eligible for the program, I really hope that you give me a call or an email. I would love to help talk to you about a series that could work for you and for your family. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much, and see you next time on Spotlight and Wawarsing. Bye!